what's up everyone? Welcome to FAQ149. What's going on? Shit, welcome. FAQs are the videos where I sit here on my ass in my office answering your questions that you're asking me. So thank you for asking me questions. Appreciate it. You know, back in the day, I made FAQs every Sunday. Now I'm making them, you know, every other week on a Wednesday maybe. So I like this segment a lot more now because, you know, I actually get to think in between the FAQs and you guys get to ask interesting questions. Timur Laktadur. Hi Ola, can you separate yourself as a listener and guitarist? As an ordinary listener, don't you get bored with instrumental guitar music? I think the guitarists in their music put too much emphasis on guitar. Sometimes there are too many solos in their music. So what is more important for you? Is emotional expression in the music or technical part? And one last question. Do you think guitar music is only for guitarists and musicians, or is it easy, accessible and interesting for everyone? Thank you for the answer. Hello from Ukraine. I think this is a very leading question because I've talked about this before, and you know, I'm all about the melody, man. I'm all about the feeling, and maybe not so much about the technical part of guitar playing. Not saying that the technical part can't be melodic or anything like that. It's just that, you know, I understand what you're saying. A lot of, you know, guitar player solo albums are very masturbating, if that's an expression. A lot of things happening, you know, technical, very fast playing and all that. To some extent, I think that is what kind of goes into a classic solo album from a guitar player. But with that said, since I can't do all of this technical bullshit, you know, myself, I'm leaning on the melodic side of things. And, you know, about the melodic sound of a song, for instance. I know a lot of solo albums out there. They are basically... They basically have some sort of a formula. Okay, I'm not saying everyone, okay, but a very standard formula for a guitar solo playing album is basically that, you know, there's a lot of big chords that go like this for a bar, and then there's like for another bar, and then there's... I mean, it's very, like the rhythm part and the rhythm aspect with drums and guitar and, you know, the backing part is very simple. So it gives room for a lot of technicality in regards to the soloing. And then there's obviously like prog parts and stuff like that. I'm just trying to give an example, but sometimes it feels like, you know, sometimes it's just a chord in the background and it's just meant to be there to, you know, show off the guitar playing. My approach for writing instrumental music is almost the same as when I'm writing music for any of the bands with singers. I try and write the song as if it didn't have a solo section in it. So it could live by itself without having a solo on it, which for me is a little bit more important. I mean, technicality and showing off really cool leads and a lot of guitar playing, that's important for a lot of people. For me, it's more about the storytelling of the whole song. And, you know, I'm more of a classic person, and, you know, I can't rely on technicality because I'm not technicality good on guitar. So for me, I think it's more important about the whole aspect of the song, and that doesn't mean that it has to have a solo on it. I'm currently still writing on my album, and there's one song there I feel like, hey, maybe this song does not need a solo on it, because, you know, if you put a solo in it, it will feel like you just crammed in the solo just to have a solo in there. And that's not the way, man. That's not the way. If I think that guitar music is only for guitarists and musicians, or it's easy, accessible and interesting for everyone, that's subjective. I have no idea. I know that I mean, I know that I'm not going to impress on any bass players on my album, so I guess it's for guitar players and guitar players' wives. That's what I think. Great question, semi-mediocre answer. Igor Lemis, oh nice, you mentioned Symphony X. Share your thoughts on the band and Micahel Romeo. I think the guy is super underrated and his name should be brought on more often when we're talking about metal guitarists. Anyway, take care and stay safe there. Thank you. Symphony X, incredible band. Micahel Romeo is also an incredible guitar player that I probably should list as an influence, but maybe I haven't mentioned him too much, because back in the day when I was listening heavily to Dream Theater, I was also listening heavily to Symphony X, but a little bit more to Dream Theater. And Micahel Romeo is an insane guitar player, one of the best, I would say. He has this really efficient picking, and his solo writing skills are amazing. He has incredible riffs, and you know, Sea of Lies, holy shit. You know, the Divine Wings of Tragedy, have you not listened to that album? Go and listen to it. It's the best fucking album out there, man. I love that album. Twilight of the Olympus, In the Dragon's Den, what? Listen to that solo. It's amazing. Can I play it? Probably not. But there's a... Okay, this is probably not that song. And it's also clean channel right now, but you just have to live with that. Oh, shit like that, man. He's fucking amazing. And that was with a clean sound. He does it with gain, okay? But yeah, Micahel Romeo is amazing, and he definitely deserves a lot more credibility. I actually went up and talked to him on one of those 70,000 tons of metal cruise out there. He was out smoking on the side of the boat. I just had to be a fan and go there. Hey, man, fucking love your work, man. I love you. And he's like, okay, thank you, bye. Yeah, that's how I would have done it anyways. No, that's a joke. Voag1, Joel, besides the 5150, what's your opinion on Peavey amps? Okay, so Peavey had a golden era, I would say. Holy shit, I'm flailing my arms a lot this video. But Peavey had, like in the mid-2000s, something like that, you know, 2005, was it 2005? I'm just guessing right now, but early 2000s. They were releasing like the JSX, Joe Satriani, the Triple X. I owned the Triple X. Me, that was an underrated amplifier. It was super fucking good. I sold it because, you know, I'm stupid. I bought an Englund Savage. I'm happy, you know. But the Triple X, it's great. And the JSX, basically the same amplifier, a little bit different, I think, in the gain staging. But yes, those amplifiers were amazing. Those amplifiers were amazing. And then there's also, they had the valve state, right? Which was, no. That's fucking Marshall right there. Valve King, that's it. They had the Valve King, which was a less expensive Peavey amplifier. Like you could get like a tube amplifier for not that much money. I remember that. And also the 3120, something like that. I don't know. 5134, 5150 with EL34s. What? It's a great amplifier. So yes, but still, the 5150 is the classic, man. And you know, my 5150 sounds the best out of all 5150s out there, just saying. And that's subjective, okay? That's my opinion. Curiosity Public, question. We always see you drinking coffee, but do you drink any liquor? We review liquor and could be curious to hear if you like anything like whiskey, rum, or tequila to sip on. Cheers. Coffee is awesome too. You know, I like whiskey, but with that said, I must put in a little disclaimer here. I haven't been drinking anything for the past year, basically. I had a beer encounter just when the COVID thing started. That was a year ago or so. And since then, I haven't drunken a drop of liquor just because I haven't felt a need to drink. You know, we have COVID here. There hasn't been any shows. You know, I'm at home. I don't really feel that I need to drink. I'm with my kids. I don't want to be drunk in front of my kids. And I just don't feel a need for being drunk. And I don't want to say that I'm not gonna drink again, but you know, I prefer not drinking. But then if there's a good occasion to drink, then I'll drink, okay? I just don't want to shut anything off. But right now, I'm not drinking. Okay? Cool. But I like whiskey, okay? Saisepa, hola, why you use SM58, not SM57? I know they're almost the same. Yes, okay, so this is a comment I get a lot, is that, why are you not using the SM57? Corona. Why are you using the SM58? It's not the same microphone. No, it's not the same microphone, but they're basically the fucking same, okay? There's more differences in between SM57s, different one. If you would take 10 SM57, put them on the table and do a comparison, they would sound different from each other. The difference between 57 is more than the difference between a 57 and a 58. So, can we please debunk that I have to use an SM57. I'm using an SM58. You know why? Because it sounds way better than any of the other SM58s and SM57s that I have or have used. Okay? So before you go on a quest to get an SM57, be sure to compare them. You know, an old 57 sounds so much different from a new 57. In either way, it doesn't matter. Because your SM57 or your SM58 will sound different from my SM58 that has been through a lot. Okay, thank you. Jason Lee, why do you hate me? Asked many questions before, never answered, so sad. Aw. You know, I actually feel sorry for people like this. They feel like they're not getting their shit answered on this show. But I just have to say to you guys, you have to take in mind that I'm getting about 600 to 800 to 1,000 questions and comments in every one of my FAQ videos. Okay, so if you're not getting picked out, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people out there with comments. Okay, so you're not the only one, you know? Just saying that there's a lot of questions to choose from, and, you know, 1 out of 1,000 chance to get picked, it's not a very big chance, just saying. Or maybe your question sucked. Shit, I don't know. Piotr Golaki, Plini released a new album. What do you think about it? Yes, Plini, fucking hell, he's amazing. And this goes back to the first question there about, you know, guitar solo album music. Plini is one of those guys that are just a little bit out of the norm, I would say. And his stuff is amazing. I've been a fan ever since he put out his first singles and whatnot. And he is amazing because he's telling a story with his album. And, you know, I wish I could do something as magnificent as Plini. And I wish I could write something as pompous and amazing as what he's doing on the album. I freaking love his stuff. So if you haven't checked out Plini, please do so. I meant pompous in a great way, of course. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but you know, it's just dynamics, man. Just dynamics for days. It goes from like the smallest little bird chirping in the background, like, going up to the fucking gentiest part ever. It's not really that much gent, but you know, very majestic, just saying. Axek Ravi, hey Ola, where can one ask a question to be considered? That's an excellent question, and you've actually just done it, right there. Thank you for your question. Oskari Vaino Kangas, what was your first guitar you ever owned? Greetings from a 15-year-old from Finland. Thank you, Oskari. So the first guitar I played was actually one that I borrowed from my brother and sister. My brother and sister had an electric guitar that my dad purchased for them, which was a red Vantage guitar. I'll see if I can find a picture, but that was the first guitar I played and learned guitar on. And I still have it somewhere, I just have to find it. But when I do, I'll definitely make a video of it, okay? You know, I actually had that guitar back when I was doing refinishes. I was refinishing guitars to left and right. You know, an RG7620, I made it with an anime fucking, you know, front and stuff like that. And that guitar I also refinished into something else. So I'll see if I can find it. That would be cool to make a video of that. Praise to Saul. How do you determine if a riff you have written is good enough for a song and doesn't need any more revisions? And how do you decide what that for a whole song in general? Excellent question. When do you decide if a riff is good? And, you know, I'll give you an example. But if you have something like, you know, okay, that's a great riff. Let's just imagine that's a great riff, okay? Cut me some slack. But can it be better if I do? It's basically the same riff, but with that small little variation. How do I know which one is best? And this is a problem, I must say, because this is something I've been struggling with a lot throughout the years as well. And I just think that when you're making that riff, you know, and you played it a lot, you play that riff to death, basically, then you might be bored of it and you think like, hey, I need to switch it up. I've learned that if you just take a step back and just try and remember the feeling for the riff, for the drums, for whatever you wrote it to, and remember that, you know, that simplicity and that feel when you wrote that riff in the first place, maybe that's the riff, you know. And if you try and venture off, maybe you think it's fresh in your head, but it might not be better than the simple original riff, if that makes any sense. I've learned it the hard way where you overwork a riff, but at this, you know, honor the simplicity sometimes. That's what I think. I mean, not everything has to be fucking over the wall and, you know, super technical and whatnot. Take a step back, you know, let the riffs breathe a little bit. Does that make sense? Thank you. Kyle Lamana, hey Ola, in your Sunday with Ola 29, when you were going around the office, I noticed you had guitar in the rack going different ways. Is there a reason, or is you just not caring which way they go? Yes, so I'll see if I have a clip here you can show. I had a guitar, it was standing in the wrong direction. And you know, in normal internet manner, this means there's a conspiracy going on. This guitar is backwards. Why? Why aren't you normal, Ola? Are you hiding something? No. The reason why I was having the guitar in the other direction, let me see if I can show you that, is because of this. Can you see this? Now all the guitars are in the right direction, but this one right here, it's like this. It's because these are two stands together. So what I did is that I did this. I put the guitar like this, like this maybe, like that. There's really no conspiracy theory about it, I think. I don't remember it at least. So yeah, I'm sorry, there's nothing exciting about me putting a guitar backwards in my guitar rack, but it's important enough to bring up on an FAQ, I guess. Slap My Bass 3825. Question for Ola. As an aspiring musician, how could I get my band signed for a tour with any headlining band in general? This is a great question and I would answer it, but the thing is, because you guys are so fucking amazing, you guys already answered this guy. So I'm gonna read the answers to this guy's question because I think these answers are great, okay? Nick is answering this guy. By working your ass off, making music, gigging, promoting yourself, getting a following on social media helps these days because it's international and you can get followers and fans from all over the world without being super famous. Generally, just damn hard work. That's great. That's a great point. Having a decent fan base and following from social media and promoting yourself on social media is incentive to other bands to sign you for a tour because you can bring your fans to the show and increase ticket sales and expose these people to the band that signed you if they weren't already aware. So more album sales, ticket sales for them too. It's a mutual partnership. You got to put in the work and grind and really show that you love what you do and what not to have much chance these days. I mean, after COVID, obviously. He makes a lot of good points, and I agree on a lot of the things that he says. But this is not all. Another guy chimed in, another awesome guy chimed in. Bruno DSL is saying, Nick, you also need to be someone other people will want to relate to. It's not just about popularity. Kenny Aronoff says it best. Many people say, but I'm better than him. I play faster than him. Why is he hired and I'm not? That's not the only reason I'm hired. I know how to solve problems, I get along well with people, they know that if something wrong happens in an important event, I'm able to shoulder it. It's not just skill. Nail in the coffin right there. These two guys, Bruno DSL and Nick, basically answered the question for me, and they made a lot of good points. It's all about the hard work, it's all about being the person someone can rely on. But with that said, and you know, this might seem that it's excessive and there's a lot of work behind this, don't get discouraged by this. See it as a challenge instead. Fucking own it, man. You know, do this shit and do it well and be awesome. I know a lot of bands that do this and they are awesome. And that was the last question. Thank you so much for all the beautiful questions, and thank you to these guys that answered. Holy shit. If you have any questions, please post them in the comment section of this video. I've been Ola Englund of Feared and the Haunted and Solar Guitars president of United Ola. Thank you for watching. See you next time.